Hey everyone, I wanted to quickly go over the new and exciting news we got from Monster Hunter Rise on the Nintendo Switch. So the demo's actually live now. This is the second part of the new demo that includes Magnamalo. It went live just a couple of hours ago. It's available on the Japanese, European, North American eShop. If you for some reason deleted the old version, you can go ahead and hit up any one of those eShops and download it again. But if you still have the one that you had previously, you can actually go ahead into the menu and update that specific version, and it'll give you access to the brand new hunt, and it'll reset your quest counter back to 30, so you actually have 30 brand new hunts if you wish to engage. If for some reason your quest counter does end up running down again, you can delete your save file or create a brand new profile, and you'll get 30 brand new runs all over again. So there's definitely easy ways to be able to get around that, but that information was also available a while back. So specifically when it comes to Magnamalo, I do think he's a little bit of an interesting fight. There's basically, the first thing that I noticed is that he has basically two different enrage modes. And he has three specific different stages. The one that he starts out normally, where he has no glowing orbs or any glowing charms around him at all. The second stage, which is the normal one, with the purple orbs or purple fire around both of his paws and I believe the back of his head. And then when he starts glowing pink, which the fire basically just kind of spreads throughout his entire body and his tail, that's basically like the real enrage mode. You basically want to watch out from that one altogether, because that's the one where he basically does like a 3 combo attack that always starts out with a side charge and ends up with a tail swipe, and then he taunts. So it's a pretty readable one, but the thing with him is that because he's kind of slow but so menacing and hits so damn hard, that you basically want to avoid that combo altogether. If you even take chip damage, chances are the next attack is going to hit you, because you don't have any avoidance, you don't have any actual time to be able to move around, and you're going to be able to just get carded. And it's not fun to be able to be carded to this guy. They do say that the hunt is specifically tuned to be able to be a little bit tougher than it naturally would be once you're actually playing the game. I'm not so sure about that. He seems to be properly tuned, but the hunt actually gives you just 15 minutes to be able to hunt him. So you can't really be too defensive or too offensive. So it basically boils down to that situation of like, you try to be able to maximize all your damage output as fast as possible, but that also leaves you open to mistakes. And when that leaves you open to mistakes, he's going to capitalize that because of the big chunks of damage that he's going to be able to dish out. I do think you're probably going to have a better chance to actually take him down if you're playing solo offline. Online is just kind of full of mistakes. People just are being very gung-ho about actually trying to take him out, and they don't necessarily prepare or heal. So, you know, you're going to be running into that. Actually, a lot of the capture that I did was basically just me showing off online and how kind of just messed up that whole thing is. But offline seems to be a little bit better because you can actually read his attacks a little bit more clearly, and that's basically the thing that you want to be doing at all times. You never want to sit there and leave an opportunity for him to be able to capitalize and basically combo you to death. And that's probably the toughest thing to be able to deal with. I do think his dive bomb attack is a little bit interesting. He basically ping-pongs around the area that he's actually stuck in about 2 to 3 times in total. I don't necessarily think that's a tough one to avoid, unless again you're kind of just whiffing the entire time or focusing on trying to heal up or something else, doing something else in general. He'll probably hit you with that, but I think it's an easily avoidable one because it's a clear tell. Another one that's also a clear tell is the Teostra smoke screen that he puts out, basically, where he kind of just throws out that dust, that flame dust, and it explodes after a little bit. That's an easy one to tell. It's also easy to avoid. There's like a gap. If you're not near him, there's actually a gap that you can actually run through. But if you actually stay next to him, you never really have to worry about that ever, because it's something of a cone of attack, like AoE spread. So basically the closest you stay to him, you never really have to worry about it, because it's never gonna really hit you. It spreads out outwards, so it's not necessarily something that you have to worry about too much. So I think 2 of his 3 major attacks, I think, are pretty clear tells. They're not necessarily something you should be too concerned with. But again, that combo one, when he's enraged, his second enraged form, when he's kind of like glowing pink, that one's worrisome. That that combo definitely gets you killed pretty easily. And also there's a thing about like probably the fact that you don't have a lot of shield, a lot of defense, and definitely not a lot of health. So you're probably going to be able to take way more damage than you probably should be taking. Again, and I'll reiterate this, Capcom is saying that this is a tuned fight specifically for it to seem a little bit tougher than it probably should be. Perhaps that's subjective at the end of the day, that's what they say, but a lot of people are good enough to be able to handle it, but a lot of people aren't. So it boils down to that situation where you end up having less wiggle room for mistakes, and basically that's where he punishes you, and you don't want that at all. But yeah, other than that, I think this is an interesting fight. His movements are really interesting altogether. A lot of people keep saying that he feels a lot like Nergigante or even Snoger. I definitely see that, don't get me wrong, I do. But I think he's kind of like his own thing. I feel like he's a lot closer to Gauss Harag in the sense of like, I talked about this in the last video where like basically Gauss Harag seems very imposing. There's that one specific clip where in the Western stream he was fighting Lagambi and he looks so imposing and threatening, but then when you're actually fighting him by yourself, it doesn't necessarily feel that imposing and threatening. And I feel like Magnamalo is kind of like that same situation. He feels imposing, he certainly feels threatening. He definitely hits hard for the situation, that the setup that you're actually fighting him in, but it doesn't necessarily feel like it's an overbearing fight. Because again, we still haven't actually seen the final game's true monsters, the actual real tough challenges. I also think people are going to be able to learn how to stun lock him pretty quickly. I think Hammer is going to be able to have a lot of fun in this fight because he does seem to take a lot of KO damage. So basically, if you're able to basically just kind of stick to his head, you should be able to keep him down often rather quickly. And that's actually one of the things. Like, I feel like he stays down a little bit long, and as long as you're making full use of those Silkbind attacks, especially with the hammer, which the hammer I do feel like has some of the best Silkbind attacks in the entire game, at least from the demo ones that we actually saw, you should be able to actually do pretty freaking well against them. He does seem to take a lot of damage in the head, so I'm not saying every other weapon should be able to do that. Again, heavy weapons are specifically made for that, but you know, if you're focusing on KO damage with the hammer, I think you should be able to be sitting pretty well handling this fight. I did notice that in my couple of online runs with the light bow gun, I think one time I got one hit KO, like from full health. So basically he just kind of like just hit me once. I don't even think it was one of his powered attacks either. It might have been in the second stage, I'm not sure. I don't think it was enraged at all, and he just basically one-shot me. So again, it's that thing of like, I don't know if you have enough defense for some of the weapons. I did try out a couple of ones offline differently and they felt better. I think longsword is not really gonna have a problem with this fight, but the light bow gun I think I got one-shotted rather easily, and I was just kind of confused, like what happened, like when did I take damage? I actually went back and I saw the video and I had full health, so I was like, yeah, he just basically one-shotted me. I'm not sure how that happened, but overall, fun fight. People are gonna have fun with it, and just don't take it too seriously, man. The game's about to come out in a couple of weeks. So, you know, again, if this is really a tuned fight, if it seems too tough, don't worry about it, because the full game, you're going to be able to just prepare yourself, have enough gear, farm it if you need to, be able to take this guy rather easily with your specific gear, with your specific skills, and your actual, you know, proper setup, as opposed to the limited offerings that they're actually giving us in the demo. But that's about it for this video. I just wanted to put out a quick reaction to it. Fun fight overall, and hope you guys enjoy it too. If you're new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.